How many children wish to become the president when they grow up? Probably most. On the contrary, not many grown-ups would like to be the president, with the living at the office gig and the constant danger of being a prime target to several thousand people around the world coming with the job. That's one description I'll pass in a heartbeat. Of course, there are some perks, but behind the scenes, it's all work and no play. You needn't look any further than Joe Biden's day-to-day life to see I'm right. So let's have a look at a day in the life of the US president. The White House. As a permanent residence, the White House is not that bad. It's in a good neighborhood, has some pretty tight security, and the zip code is pretty awesome, 20500. In fact, while most US citizens share a zip code with at least a couple of hundred people, the president has one zip code dedicated entirely to his home. This makes posting much easier, although all of Biden's packages go through quite the dismantling before they get to the Oval Office. It's not the best place to order inappropriate magazines or an intimate present for your significant other, to say the least. Yes, privacy is not among the perks of living in a monument in downtown Washington, D.C. You have frequent guests who are not always people you know. That's the bad thing about practically living in a museum. Constant tourists flow day in and day out, with curious children sneaking away from their groups and legions of tourists trying to take a glimpse at you. True, the tourists are forbidden from entering the living quarters of this giant mansion, but even without them, you can't find any peace and quiet. With tight security around the clock, cameras everywhere, and bodyguards roaming around regardless of the hour, it's not the best place to stroll half asleep in your underwear to the kitchen to make a midnight snack. While privacy is definitely not something you will get while you have your 4-year term, or if people decide 8-year, you will certainly feel secure. The White House is the most secure building in the entire world, with the Secret Service sparing no expense in protecting this symbol of democracy. The annual budget is not exactly known. Still, with top-notch defense from anti-missile systems and cybersecurity to infrared sensors, dozens of guards, and just as many guard dogs, the security budget indeed bites off a huge chunk of the $1.4 billion budget that the White House needs to operate. Still, the perks of living in the White House surely go far beyond what you will get in your typical suburban home. An indoor chef who is probably also a martial arts expert, a private tutor for your children, probably also a martial arts expert, and a nanny, who, you guessed it, is probably a martial arts expert too. All in all, when living inside the White House, there is barely any place you can remain by yourself. It's truly a nightmare for children trying to play hide and seek. But enough talk about the place. The White House is wonderful, but it's the US president's day that makes the entire job not so attractive in the first place. Mornings. If you haven't been living on the forest moon of Endor for the past 3 years, trying to sell bitcoins to Ewoks, you probably know that the current president is the mummy from that Brendan Fraser movie. Oh wait, my mistake, it's actually Joe Biden. Biden starts off each day before 8 o'clock, unlike some world leaders who are famously night owls. I'm looking at you, Putin. President Biden follows the motto, "The early bird catches the worm." Just like his Russian colleague, Biden also starts the day with some training, as he usually lifts weights and follows his personal trainer's instructions while watching the morning news. I wonder if he watches Fox News to pump up his testosterone early in the morning. His predecessor surely did enjoy watching Fox in the morning, although I doubt President Trump ever lifted a weight that wasn't in the form of a gold bar. When he's done with the morning workout, it's time to shower and get some breakfast. Wardrobe. It's no secret that the 78-year-old Biden is obsessed with his good looks, and looking elegant at that age costs money. For example, on the day of his inauguration, Biden rocked a highly expensive Ralph Lauren attire. While he never disclosed how much he paid for his stylish appearance, based on the brand's prices during his first day as a president, Biden was dressed for about $10,000. That's by far not the only expensive wardrobe choice from Biden, but he's not even close to spending as much as other leaders for his looks. Still, like any old gentleman, Biden has a thing for watches. Not pocket watches, as his age might deceive you. The president was caught wearing several costly watches over the years, as their price varies from $100 for a Seiko 7T32-6M90 and a $10,000 Rolex Datejust 41. Workday. While Biden's job is definitely time-pressuring, he always finds time to have his morning coffee with the First Lady. For breakfast, Biden usually has a protein shake. These old man muscles need to be adequately fed, after all. By 9 a.m., the president is already in the Oval Office and goes through his schedule. Just like most other world leaders, his time is segmented into 15-minute blocks. Typically, his day starts with some calls. The time difference between the US and Europe forces Biden to get in touch with America's allies first thing in the morning, as most of them are practically 5 to 7 hours ahead. In the meantime, he gets the daily security brief and learns all he needs to know about the world. Often, the president snacks on sweets he keeps on his Oval Office desk. Biden is well known for his sweet tooth, and while his physique won't show it, he loves the candy's sugary sweetness. Whether he gives some to Kamala Harris, however, we can't speculate. Noon. As most of his tasks with foreign affairs are done in the morning hours, his afternoons are dedicated to domestic problems. Still, he finds time to walk his dogs around the White House gardens. The Bidens have 2 dogs, both gorgeous German Shepherds. Unlike Putin's dogs, however, they are usually kept away from the press, meetings, and other international envoys. Biden usually has a late lunch around 1 p.m. The White House kitchen staff is not too bedazzled by the president's menu, as his lunch most often consists of a soup and grilled chicken with chopped salad. Biden doesn't expect much from the kitchen staff. However, he is adamant that there should always be some vanilla chocolate chip Häagen-Dazs ice cream, some cereal, sliced bread and cheese, as well as at least 6 eggs, some tomatoes, and apples. But most importantly, the president loves his PB&J. Yes, peanut butter and jelly are always present in the White House kitchen, and Biden is well known for having a mid-afternoon PB&J sandwich. After lunch, he has a series of meetings regarding domestic issues. Usually he speaks to his top advisors at least once a day. After that, if he needs to go to an event or a meeting in another place, usually that will be the time to go. But of course, sometimes he needs to be there a bit earlier. That's when his trusted PB&J sandwich comes into play. There is nothing sweeter than having your favorite snack while being transported like a golden goose with 50 cars and over 500 people, making sure you are alive. Moreover, you are cruising around in one of the most luxurious and secure cars ever produced, the Beast. The car was ordered by President Trump and is said to have cost approximately $1.5 million. Evenings. If there are no emergencies, Biden gets to the residential part of the White House at around 7 p.m. While he most probably doesn't shout, "Honey, I'm home," he does enjoy some quality time with his wife. They dine together and talk about the day at the office. Their dinner usually consists of pasta with red sauce, though there are some variations, of course. The night continues with more work, as Biden usually has at least a few calls and online meetings with his advisors. I wonder if he does them in his jammies. He also goes through the evening news and reads some reports, prepositions, and even mail from American citizens. Before you send him an inappropriate picture, however, remember when we talked about all the security? Yeah, he's not getting your dirty pics. His day ends relatively early with a call to his son, Hunter. The man notoriously had some issues with addiction, so the president, like a good dad, calls him every night. Or he forgets that he had called him the night before. Anyway, that's the last thing on the president's agenda. After that, what happens in the Lincoln bedroom stays in the Lincoln bedroom. While Biden's day doesn't sound like too much of a hustle, you need to remember that there are about 350 million lives on his shoulders. It's not a coincidence that most presidents leave the Oval Office with gray hair, no matter what color it was before the term. And while the job is certainly not to be taken lightly, there are some perks. For example, having all the PB&J sandwiches you can eat. What would always be in stock in the White House kitchen if you were the president? Let me know in the comments below. If you thought Biden's day was crazy, wait until you learn how Vladimir Putin spends his day.